Signal Sciences is the industry's first web protection platform that works in any cloud, any container, any platform as a service, and any modern application architecture. The Signal Sciences web protection platform can be deployed in next-generation WAF, RASP, or reverse proxy modes, giving customers ultimate flexibility and coverage. Protect your web applications with Signal Sciences web protection platform. Signal Sciences, protecting applications, connecting teams. For more information, check them out at signalsciences.com/PSW. Onapsis is the leading provider of solutions to protect ERP systems from cyber attacks. Customers can secure their SAP and Oracle business-critical platforms from espionage, sabotage, and financial fraud risks. Visit them on the web at onapsis.com. The SANS Institute, the most trusted source for computer security certification training and research. Visit SANS.org to explore their full curriculum and latest training offerings.
And welcome back. One last thing to mention, we recorded a video series while we were at DEF-CON with some fine folks sponsored by Grimm and their new crossbow product. They recorded a bunch of videos, awesome production crew, and a bunch of questions on how we see the state of security with some really fun folks. And you can check out that video series at securityweekly.com/summer camp. But enough about summer camp. Let's talk about this other camp that's coming up called DerbyCon. Because we have a captive audience. Oh my God! Dave Kennedy's here. He's been here the whole show, but Dave Kennedy's here to talk to us about DerbyCon a little bit. So Dave, for those who have never been to DerbyCon, what's DerbyCon all about?
Well, I think it might be important to maybe give a little bit of a backstory around how DerbyCon was created. So Adrian Crenshaw, Iron Geek, everybody goes to irongeek.com. I knew Adrian through conferences, and him and I kind of became good friends. And another guy named Martin Boss, or Pure Hate at the time, now Can Computer. It was actually funny. So we were at this Louisville Information Security Summit that was held every year at the actual stadium where they house the Kentucky Derby, and so Martin was just kind of getting into security at the time and had an IT repair shop, but wanted to kind of make a break into security. And him and I were good friends. We were on the Backtrack development team for a number of years together, and we worked together, just in IRC, chat rooms and like Remote Exploit and all those other ones. And, it was a lot of good friends that we knew, but we didn't really know each other in person. And Martin reached out to me and was like, "Hey, dude, can you do a CTF for us and help me out, and help me win this so that I can get my name out there to kind of hopefully get a job in security." And, I went back to Martin. I'm like, dude, I don't know, man. Like, what happens if someone just totally fucking destroys me? And, and then I'm like, all embarrassed, and I don't like doing CTFs, and then believe me, there's people out there so much better than me, at this stuff. I'm like, why don't you ask them? He's like, no, you'd be fine. It's just a Louisville thing, it'd be fun and everything else. And Adrian's putting it on, and I didn't really know Adrian that well at the time. And I'm like, all right, fine, I'll do it. And so we're going in there and we're just tearing it apart, right? We're kicking butt and taking names. And Adrian put up the CTF, and I happened to actually have at the time I was working on a Windows Vista 0-day, and it had not been published at the time. It was a remote exploit, and it was something that had like a 40% chance of being successful. The other 60% was really on it would crash the system in a blue screen of death. And so, I'm looking at this CTF network, and I see a fully patched Windows Vista box. And I'm like, oh, sweet. Maybe in order to win the CTF, I got to pop this Windows, Vista fully patched box, and I can win the whole thing or something. And so I'm like, well, I got a 40% chance. Why not? Right?
Yeah.
And it was in the range, that Adrian provided. And so I'm like, okay, fine. So I fired away the exploit, got a shell. I'm like, oh, sweet. So right. So I'm like, hey, I'm going to win this thing, right? It's got to be a super awesome, like worth tons of points. And, we go in and I'm starting to go through the directories, and it's like // documents and settings, /Adrian, /Adrian's pictures. And I'm like, and I start downloading Adrian's pictures, of course, because I want to see what's going on. And then I'm like, and then I see this folder called CTF videos. And I'm like, oh, sweet. Maybe if you get this box and you pop it, you get all the CTF videos and you win. So I start downloading, the CTF videos and everything. I'm like, hell yeah, I got the CTF videos. And then I start looking around. I'm like, man, this shit looks really believable. Like this looks like someone's machine.
Man, he did a great job populating this one.
Right. I'm like, man, he makes this shit really believable, right? And so I go over to Adrian. I walk upstairs because, he's on the second floor running the CTF. And I'm like, hey, Adrian, quick question. Is there a Windows Vista fully patched box that's on the CTF network? And he looks at me, and he looks back. He looks at me again. He's like, oh, shit. And, it was actually Adrian's box that I compromised on accident. And so we didn't end up using any of the information. We canceled it, but we ended up winning the CTF. Martin got up on stage and ended up landing a job at the time at Akivant, and his killed his career. It's been amazing. One of the most brilliant folks ever. And so we all became really good friends in this whole Louisville area. And Adrian decided to put on a free Metasploit class for the community. And we're hoping to get, 10, 15 people. And Adrian reached out to me. He's like, hey, can you teach like a half a day of Metasploit or whatever? And I'm like, sure, absolutely. And so, we ended up going out there, and we had to move to a different location because we had so many people interested in this class. And it was free. And it was a whole day, basically like a mini-con of just teaching like exploit dev. Elliot Null Threat was up there.
Nice.
A lot of people gave, talks. And it was all about collaboration. It was all about community. It was all about, sharing our knowledge. And we had so many good dialogues. It was informal. And, it really reminded us of the old DEF CON days. And, my first DEF CON, I think, was DEF CON 9 and at Alexis Park. And, seeing the Shmoo group on stage and being able to go up to them and approach them afterwards. And, like, Bruce still gets embarrassed every time I talk to him. But that dude's like my hero. Every time I'm like, hey, Bruce. I'm like that weird, creepy guy, that just wants to hug you,
Stroke your hair a little bit.
Yeah. Bruce, can you come over here real quick? That feeling of being able to walk up to somebody and be approachable. And, the day went really well. We had like 55 people or something crazy like that. And we all decided to go to a pizza shop afterwards. And I'm sitting at the table. I'm like, guys, I really feel energetic about this. I feel like I accomplished something. I feel like people learned something. I feel like, we were able to share. There was no like groups or cliques or things like that. I'm like, we should start a fucking conference in Louisville, like DEF CON, and just have it be like family and friends and sharing information. And so there's a bunch of guys at a pizza shop, literally just sitting there, like talking about, yeah, that'd be a cool idea. That'd be a cool idea. And as I'm driving back, I was actually driving back with my buddies, Jamie Murdoch. And I'm like, I'm going to do this. And I call Erin up, my wife, and I'm like, hey, I think we want to start a conference in Louisville. It's probably going to cost us a lot. And we might have to take a second mortgage on the house if it fails. But I think it's going to work. So can we try it? And, Erin, being the awesome wife, was like, sure, let's figure it out and do it. And believes in it and everything. And that's kind of how DerbyCon started. So it's about family. It's about collaboration. It's about removing the barriers around cliques and, people that are, I guess, prominent in the industry, or people that have extensive experience in the industry. It's taking all those barriers down and really trying to focus on what the issues are in security, and really trying to get better at what we do. And it's where everybody's welcome. People come there to share their ideas, and it's a recognition of everybody. It doesn't matter if you're a speaker, an attendee. We all have our own experiences that make us unique as individuals. It's about sharing those experiences. And that's really what DerbyCon is about.
Yep. So, Dave, I've gone to every DerbyCon since the first one, and we'll be going again this year. Every year I have worked on the security staff. This is the first year I'm not speaking, and that's okay because I didn't submit to the CFP, and that's perfectly fine, and I'm okay with that. And I have never had a bad experience at DerbyCon. Yeah. I did have one bad experience, but maybe that's my own damn fault for having too much fun. But and that's what's that?
Is it a bad experience having too much fun?
Well, the next day experience wasn't all that pleasant, but that night was great. For the record, never, ever try to drink all of Crystal Method's booze.
Yes,
never.
Yes. I heard. I wasn't even part of that. So I heard Crystal Method at the end of the day basically just had a bunch of people over the rooms and everybody's just drinking and hanging out with them, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
So yeah,
that's DerbyCon.
Yep.
Green. You're drinking with Crystal Method.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, Crystal Method, invited a bunch of folks that were sort of hanging around at the end of the show that were seeking autographs and that type of stuff. Over to the green room where they had all their stuff set up, and we hung out there. And in fact, they let us stay there until after they were gone.
Yeah.
So it was great.
funny story from last year. You know, we had the Wu-Tang Clan in on Saturday, and you know, I tell you, seeing Redman, you know, you don't see what happens behind the stage, right? But you know, everybody's waiting for Method Man, Redman, the Wu-Tang Clan to come up on stage and everything. And Redman's in the back, and he's sitting there, and he's psyching himself into going and speaking. I mean, the guy's a true artist. Like, he's back there. He's like, no, I don't feel right yet. I'm not going up on stage. And like, there's a big delay in the beginning of the thing, because Redman is not ready to go on stage, because he's performing an act and he wants it to be the best for the DerbyCon attendees. Yeah. And you know, he finally gets himself psyched up and goes out there and just rocks the show. I mean, one of the best concerts we've had. You know, and we've had so many. You know, Infected Mushroom, Crystal Method twice. You know, just fantastic bands. And afterwards, you know, Method Man Redman hung out and talked to people, hung out with people, you know, were part of the crowd. I mean, just one of the folks. And Redman came up to me afterwards, and he's like, I'm amazed at the energy, you know, from your folks here at the conference. He's like, we go to places where they're just sitting down and just watching, and the energy and the people and how awesome and brilliant and smart you folks are from an industry perspective is really humbling for us as performers. And they were just super cool. And a quick story on Method Man. You know, Method Man was across the street, and some lady recognized them in the Zoop. And he's like, oh my God, you're Method Man. I'm a huge fan. And he's like, oh my God, I'll come back and I'll get you some signed stuff. And he was busy and he forgot. And the next morning he signed a bunch of stuff and said, I totally forgot to give it to this girl across the street. You know, can you please make sure that you give it to him? And we walked across the street and gave it to her. And the last funny story about that is I'm coming down in the elevator. I'm on the top floor, and it goes ding, and here comes Redman. You know, and he's kind of hoodied up, and you can't really see him and everything. He's kind of back there. You know, he doesn't want to be recognized. You know, he's had a long night. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm in a elevator alone with Redman, and I'm like, hey, Redman, I just want to say, awesome job last night. You know, people had a great time. He looks back at me. He's like, oh damn, Dave, man, this place is awesome. We love DerbyCon. Please have us back. Seriously, we love the attendees. We love the people. Like, have us back anytime. It's awesome. You know, and nice. You know, it's a testament to the people that are there that the vibe is much different. It's
to the point that these world-recognized folks feel safe to get on an escalator with some random dude and don't feel threatened.
Same thing for the attendees. I mean, attendees and the speakers and everything else. I mean, they make the conference. It's the people that make that vibe. And I tell you, we have so many humbling and amazing people.
Yep. I get to tell you, I want to share one story that from DerbyCon and having worked security all the years. I remember hearing a story, I want to say it was not last year, the year before, that after the concert, the local police that were there that were on duty to help out, and the hotel security. You're talking about. Yeah, the hotel security were bored out of their skull because nothing was happening, and more importantly, they were in the lobby and were amazed that at 4:30 in the morning, there's a bunch of hackers, shit-faced in the lobby, not getting in fights, playing chess. And being respectful and quiet and having a good time, but fucking shit-faced. Shit-faced.
No, it's funny. You look at certain things that make an impact, and like Egypt is the one that started the whole chess downstairs, right? Yeah. And Egypt makes his own, it's his own event, you know, like that makes DerbyCon, like him going down and challenging people to chess and having conversations with them and having folks around, discussing and dialoguing. That's what this community is about. You know, the fact that you can sit next to Egypt, the dude that's like one of the most brilliant people in Metasploit, you know, and you're playing chess with the dude, like that's DerbyCon. And the cops, you know, are like, man, I don't understand how you guys get progressively drunker and you're even more respectful and nicer. It doesn't make any sense. We've never seen anything like this before.
and outdrink the Kentucky Derby every year.
That's right. And outdrink the Kentucky Derby every year. And obviously, you know, for folks that are, you know, sober and everything else, you know, we want to be respectful of that. Absolutely. So, you know, it's what you do, and, you know, no pressure there whatsoever. But, you know, funny story, I actually missed the Crystal Method folks going out to their own bar because I walked out of DerbyCon and I saw this dude, probably couldn't be any older than 25 years old. And I took a picture of him. He's got, you know, he's passed out completely, but he's in a perfect pose, like with his legs crossed on the floor. And he's, you know, he's down like this, and he's got like a little hat on or whatever, right? Mm-hmm. You know, and he's just passed out. He's having you know, you could tell he had an amazing night, but he wasn't making it home, right? And so I look at this dude. I'm like, all right, let's figure it out. So I go into his wallet, and I figure out he's got a room key at the Marriott. I fireman carry him all the way to the Marriott and get him into his room. And luckily, he was coherent enough at the time where he's like, I think I'm in room 657, 32 or something like that. So I went room by room with the fireman carrying this guy, so I finally got the room that he was in and popped him in there and then came back, and we're all there having a good time. And it's a party. And it's a way to party with your friends that you only get to see maybe once or twice a year.
Sure.
But talks that are there are so amazing. We have more talks than DEF CON. And it's, 1/10 the size of DEF CON or whatever the heck, we're probably more than that. And it's not knocking DEF CON. It's just, we try to put as much content and information out there for people to learn and experience and tie in red, blue, forensics, wireless, everything you can possibly imagine to get what you need to out of the conference.
Awesome. So Dave, speaking of, we've got this year coming up, and tons of talks and tons of awesome. Who's we talked a little bit about the musical acts. Who's the musical acts that you've got coming for some of the concerts?
Yeah, so we landed Metallica, Blink-182, and Justin Bieber this year. So super excited.
Trolling.
And Justin Bieber sent some new mix release, so we're good, man. This is gonna be a great party. Do not want to see. Do not want. No, this year we have Paul Oakenfold on Friday.
Nice.
So he'll be the main opening act for Paul Oakenfold. Saturday we have Busta Rhymes, and obviously Paul will be here. Absolutely. And so great lineup this year. And we already have next year's lineup as well, which is going to be another amazing one. Planned a year and ahead to get this one, but
super secret, obviously.
Super secret, obviously, because we haven't signed full contracts yet, but we're that close. Martin is fantastic with that. By the way, give a shout out to Can Computer because he is literally the brainchild behind all the parties every year, and he's the one that lines up the talent. Nice. Martin is just the backbone of everything that is sound, visual, everything at DerbyCon. He's it. But yeah, Busta Rhymes, Paul Oakenfold, dual core. It's gonna be a great time.
Awesome. And looking to the future of DerbyCon, I've heard rumors that we may be changing location next year. Yep. Yeah, we're love the Hyatt. Absolutely love the folks there. They are family part of DerbyCon as well. I mean, we know them by name. We work with them. We put our blood, sweat, and tears into making that a performance. The chairs and the guys that are up there till 4:00 in the morning that you don't see behind the scenes making things happen, that stick with us even though they're not even supposed to be working because they're on shifts. The Hyatt is, they'll always be in our hearts, and that's why this year we really wanted to really dedicate a lot of this to them because they are just fantastic. And I might get a little teary-eyed even talking about it. But I had the dedication to the folks there, and it was a tough decision for us to move away from the Hyatt. I'm actually getting a little teary-eyed. I'm not gonna. But it was a tough decision for us to move. But ultimately, what we wanted to do is, and this is a tough balance for us. We have no good answer for any of this, but DerbyCon is obviously growing in popularity. And tickets sold out in 3 minutes this year, which is so unexpected for us, but it's a good testament to having an amazing conference that people want to be part of. Yep.
So we have an option of growing the conference or keeping the same size. And we decided to move it to the Marriott, to grow it a little bit, double the size, of space wise, but we're not doubling the size of the conference. And that's something that we toy with every single year, about what we're going to do with the conference. And we do not want it to be unmanageable. We want it to be a family. We want it to be, one of the best security conferences that you go to out there, and that's our goal.
Nice.
And so we don't know what we're going to do, but the Marriott is our next home next year, and that's where we're moving to. And great folks there as well. Can never replace the Hyatt,
Nope.
but definitely something that we're moving towards.
And the Marriott and the Hyatt are really close together, aren't they?
Yeah, right next door to each other. In fact, you can stay at the Hyatt, and there's a tube that goes right there. It's a 3-minute walk from the Hyatt to the Marriott, and it allows you to go basically there. So, I mean, it's super, super close. It's right on the 4th Street Library, just 1 block away. Same venue, same area, same feel. Obviously
Nice.
It's going to be different because but what's also nice about the Marriott is they have a much more updated band system. And so we can have bigger bands,
Gotcha.
more updated bands, and we can run the parties later at night. One thing with the Hyatt is that the stage is actually inside of the main area. So if you're staying on floor, like 3 or 4, you're really hating life.
Yeah. Or you're loving it, depending.
Yeah. That's, you might have an amazing party. You basically can hear Crystal Method, the room above you, because they're literally 5 feet from you. But with the Marriott, it's completely separated. We can run the parties as late as we want to, and so it definitely creates more flexibility for us as a conference.
Awesome. That's great to hear. And that's one of the things that, me personally I was worried about when you said we were going to move to a bigger venue, was the size of the con was going to increase. But it sounds like more that the space increases to be able to distribute more knowledge while keeping the quote body count low.
That's right. Yep. And I think, if you look at the conference itself, we don't want to be DEF CON. That DEF CON's DEF CON. That's their own. They created their own. They went their own way and did their own thing. And DEF CON's awesome in their own right. It's epic. We don't want to be DEF CON. We don't want to be ShmooCon. ShmooCon is epic in its own right, in its own way that it does things. And those to me, like, it's the 3 pinnacle conferences that I love dearly: ShmooCon, DEF CON, and DerbyCon. Like, those are my 3 triangles that I go to every year because I love everything that they do on that side. And so we want to be our own con. And that means that we will probably stay around the same size. Maybe increase a little bit, play with that a little, numbers a little, as we did every year with DerbyCon, but we're not going to grow at large. And that's never our goal. And we will not do that.
That's awesome. And, we're at In Guardians, we're really excited to be helping sponsor this year. I forget what level of sponsorship we have, but we also sponsored the CTF, and we're working on some fun treats for those folks as well.
Thank you. Because honestly, we try to put this through the culture, but without the sponsors, DerbyCon would not be possible. And, with the Marriott, what's interesting is that we can actually have a few more sponsors in place, which means that maybe we can do things like lowering ticket costs or, making it easier for the attendee to get there. We don't want to make money off of the attendees. We don't want to make money, period. Like literally the only reason we make money for DerbyCon is so that we can have a bigger badass band next year. Like, that's the only reason we want money at all, is that so that we can make a bigger badass party next year.
Right. I forget. At DerbyCon, do you guys sort of do like the talk they do at ShmooCon about Own the Con and talk about what went into making it happen and sort of what the ticket price actually meant to everyone and all that type of stuff? Do you guys do that? I don't remember.
Yeah, during opening ceremonies, we'll actually break down like how much money we have coming into DerbyCon and how much we use that year, and then what the overflow we use. I don't know if we get down to actual like individual ticket information.
Right.
But we don't make a profit off of DerbyCon. We don't spend money on DerbyCon. Now, granted, we may order pizzas and things like that for folks that are working late at night or something like that, as an expense. But really the money goes into what you see as the conference. This is a passion for us. You look at Dave DeSimon, Kyle, Kim, Aaron, myself, Martin, Adrian, Paul from a security standpoint, and all the folks that volunteer for security, for everything else, the sponsors that come back every year. It's not about that piece. It's a passion of what we love doing. And as soon as DerbyCon stops being fun, we'll stop doing it. But every year when we walk in,
kind of like this podcast.
That's right.
Kind of like this podcast. When it stops being fun, we'll stop doing it. And it's been fun for 12 years.
How could this not be fun? You look
exactly.
So hot.
It's the feeling's mutual, Dave. But my producers are telling us, wrap it up, wrap it in. Let me begin. Wait, no, that's not it. But Dave, thanks for coming and tell us all about DerbyCon and giving us a little bit of the background and what's in store for the future. And I'm excited to see you in a couple weeks.
Yeah, one last thing I'll part with is that the worst times of year for me are ticket sales and call for paper rejections.
Yeah.
So I just want to say thank you for everybody that tried to submit papers that didn't get accepted. It's not that your talk wasn't amazing and awesome. It was that we just have so many that we have to go through. And so, from the bottom of my heart, thank you very much for submitting. And same thing for the folks that couldn't get tickets. I tell you, that is the worst for me. I lose sleep literally for a week when folks are like, I couldn't get a DerbyCon ticket because it sold out so fast. It's literally one of the worst times of my life. So I just want to say sorry that not everybody can make it to DerbyCon. It's not our intention. We wish everybody can go.
Yep, and don't hesitate trying to get those last minute ticket sales, because there are many folks that get them and have changes of plans. And if you can be a little bit flexible with your schedule, I've never seen or heard of anyone scalping a DerbyCon ticket. It's always at face value. And I think that's one of the things. Yeah, time to time, but
Yeah.
And or folks give them away. Cool. All right. So with that, thanks, Dave. Let's take a short break, and we'll come back with Stories of the Week.
Stories of the Week.